Hello everyone, I'm back and today we're building a gardener's cottage. Now, I know I say this a lot at the start of my videos, but I wasn't really sure what to call this because I feel like gardener's cottage is a bit deceiving and I don't know, it makes it sound like it's like a professional gardener's house, if you know what I mean. So, and that they'd have this immaculate garden and everything would be really pristine, but in my mind, this is like an amateur gardener, if you know what I mean. So, you know, they do it just for fun. So it's not going to be perfect. And so it's a bit rough and ready, you know. And actually what I had in my mind, I don't know why, I feel like this is an older sim who perhaps has lost their partner. And maybe it was actually their partner who was really into gardening and they've kind of kept going with it just to like, I don't know, feel like they're close or whatever. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So it's like in the sense of, obviously I built on the side this like greenhouse attached to the house, which makes it sort of like functional for a gardener, someone who likes gardening. But you'll see as we go on, like it's, you know, the garden is quite overgrown and yeah, so it's just kind of a hobby basically, but you know, you can do whatever you want with it, I suppose. And I feel like I don't know, I felt like building something kind of small, and I guess maybe because it's been feeling a bit more like spring is coming the past few days, because we've had like some nicer days, like sunny, still cold, but when you're in the sun, like it's almost like, you know, it really warms you up. So it's just been kind of a nice clear skies vibes, which has made me feel like, oh, spring is coming. So it made me feel like building something garden-y. But also I wanted to build something kind of small, like I say, because I just wanted to have like a little catch up, really, guys, because I'm fully aware that I have not built anything for a really long time and I kind of just went MIA for a little bit. And yeah, so basically, I don't know if anyone remembers, but in my previous video, which was a little while ago now, well, maybe not with my previous video, but a few videos ago, I talked about getting a new job, starting a new job, which was great. But unfortunately, it took up a lot more time than I anticipated and also a lot more headspace. So I just hadn't been able to build, basically. I didn't have the time. And yeah, so that's basically what happened. And I didn't even have the chance to say it, basically. So, but that has all changed now because I'm no longer doing that role. So I am back building, which I'm really, really, really glad about, because I feel like you don't realise how actually, you know, it might just seem, it sounds really silly, but you don't realise how important perhaps some of these things are to you in terms of, you know, just like something to do that's different from what you do in everyday life, or, you know, it's just a kind of way of relaxing, and it's just something that, like I say, I could just take myself away and do, and, you know, just be creative with it. It's just, and I think I really miss that, and I feel like as soon as I started building this again, I was like, yeah, like you need to make time for things like this, you know, and, you know, whatever it is that you enjoy doing. So that's why I'm back doing it again, because I just feel like it was really good for me, and yeah, so I'm back. I hope you'll have me back. But yeah, so I just wanted to make something just chill, you know, like I say, just like building something when I haven't built for like a little while. Just kind of not, I saw like a image on Pinterest, which is kind of like this, like the facade of this build, of the building itself. I really liked the little greenhouse. I don't know, like being attached to the house, it was quite sweet. But other than that, like everything else, I just kind of just went with it. Do you know what I mean? I just was like, what comes out, you know? What comes out on the paper is what's there. So yeah, so it's just a bit of, yeah, just chill time, and just this is just what came out of it, basically. It was quite fun because this is also the first time, this is the other thing I'm like, oh no, this is like the first time I've played with the new pack, which isn't really that new anymore, the For Rent pack, which is obviously like it totally passed me by since I was not building, because obviously it's a new pack which we're able to have, you know, multiple like residential rent, whatever you want to call it, lots within one, which is like, I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it? Like, I don't know how, like, I couldn't tell you how many like multiple lots on one lot, that doesn't even make any sense, but basically multiple, I mean, in my case I probably made lots and lots of like flats and lots of like semi-detached houses, terrace houses, which, you know, you always had to pick which one you wanted, and then you just had to maybe make the rest of them empty so your sim wasn't paying for the whole street, or, you know, whatever you wanted to, however you wanted to play, have multiple families in there within one family, if that makes sense. But now we can actually allocate, you know, one of the buildings to be just your sims and the rest can be owned by someone else, which is like obviously amazing. Like, how long that we've wanted something like that. And so now, but yeah, you best believe that then my next builder is going to be using that pack in terms of like it'll be like I mean, let's be real, it's probably going to be terrace houses or semi-detached houses, something like this, because that is just what I know. And I'm really excited to build one that actually works, you know, actually functions in that way. And it just makes me want to go back through like all my builds I've ever made and just like make them functional in that way. Do you know what I mean? The ones that like is relevant for. But yeah, so yeah, it totally passed me by. And I know we've had as well a new kit. I mean, we've had loads of kits. I can't keep track of the kit packs, if I'm honest. There's too many of them. But I guess it's good because it means you can pick like which ones you actually want to buy, like if there's something that really, really takes your fancy. But I know that there's a new castle one in terms of like build and buy like kits, which is more like what I'd be interested in. But I had a look at it and you can see all the items that come with it, and I just feel like for £5 it's just a few doors and windows basically. Like, don't get me wrong, I've seen a few builds that people have done and they're like stunning, and obviously you can make these incredible castle, you know, looking buildings, or just really old buildings, you know, like however you like want to use it. It does really give that effect. But I just feel like right now I haven't got a need for it. If I did, then maybe I'd get it. But yeah, I feel like with the kits, because obviously they're like £5, which is a lot cheaper than the other ones. You could end up buying a few of them and then suddenly you've spent a lot of money but actually don't get much for it, if you know what I mean. I feel like some are better than others. Some I feel like are worth more than others. So so I haven't got that yet, but I have seen that they're got some nice little items obviously, but just, yeah, I don't know, I couldn't justify the £5 for it. But I have used I've used the windows actually and the doors from the For Rent pack, which I think are really, really lovely. I really like this swatch of like kind of a bit like rusticy and like not perfect. I think I love things like that on The Sims, because I just think it makes it more realistic, having things that aren't completely pristine and perfectly painted, or they're a bit worn, a bit distressed. It just really it just makes it come a bit more to life, I think. Because there's not many buildings really that are like completely pristine, neat, perfectly painted, because they get weathered and they get used, and you know what I mean? So, you know, especially really old buildings, I feel like this cottage is very, very, very old. Obviously they've added on that greenhouse, which in my mind is all kind of like wooden. So you'll see I used the kind of big windows which came with the For Rent pack, which are like a wooden, like they're woodeny, and then there's the sort of like wooden slats and then a glass roof. So I feel like all of that is just like a wooden structure basically with a concrete or brick floor. But yeah, so that's just basically been added on perhaps more recently, but yeah, still really old, you know, just giving that kind of aesthetic, you know. And do you know what, I really struggled with you'll see I just put down the like letterbox or mailbox, and I really struggled with this build because I'm building in the world of Henford-on-Bagley, and in general, this cottage is giving me like, like British vibes. And so normally we'd have a letterbox on the door. And what I normally do is put the mailbox that we got with the Snowy Escape Pack, which can it goes on the wall, right? So it's kind of the closest we have to a letterbox. And I normally put that like on the door, just because it makes me feel like, oh, look, it is like a letterbox. It functions in that way, rather than having like a mailbox down, like down at the bottom of the path or whatever. Which I feel like it's just not something that you find that often here in the UK. But it just looked really weird on this door, on this particular door. Like it wasn't working for me. And with the steps the way they were, I knew the Sims probably weren't going to be able to use it. They're going to be a bit funny about it. So I ended up using the ones from Get Together and actually putting it right down at the bottom of at the entrance, gate, right at the bottom of the path, which is not something I don't do it that often, but I don't know, I just felt like that was the best thing to do. But yeah, it was weird. It just wasn't working with these doors. I don't know, it just didn't, maybe it was the colours, I don't know. So yeah, that's why I ended up putting it all the way down at the bottom. But I tried to make it blend in a bit by using the Get Together one and then putting it within the brick wall, kind of made it look like it was an old school one built in there. I don't know. Or maybe like an old, I don't know if you've seen those old post boxes you find sometimes that are in walls or in pillars, do you know what I mean, rather than a standalone post box that you kind of find more now. And I kind of felt like, oh, maybe it used to be one of those, and I don't know, for whatever reason there was one there on that wall and they've just converted it into their own letterbox. It's one that doesn't get used anymore. I don't know, that's kind of what I was going with, But we're finally on the inside now, and it is quite small. Like I say, it's a small cottage, but really, actually, it's not super small. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the vibes I'm going for is kind of dated, and it's not been modernized really. All the walls are the kind of just stone, painted white, if you get what I mean, rather than I don't know, it's not been replastered or something, that kind of thing, so, but you could easily this, it's got enough space here if you wanted to change it, you know what I mean, you could, if you wanted to modernize it, you could make it more open plan or whatever, and you would get much more space in each room, if you know what I mean. I just like making cottages cozy, and especially if it's gonna be kind of a bit dated, things are a little bit higgledy-piggledy. They might be in strange positions. For example, this lounge, I realised very quickly that I wasn't going to be able to put a TV anywhere, because I was I'm not putting it over the fireplace, because that is just, that would just not fit with it, would it, really? Just would not fit with the vibes. And I was the sofa really can only go on that wall, and then have an armchair on the other wall. So then, you know what I mean? It was just layouts. But then actually it kind of worked, because I feel like I said, I don't feel like this sim watches the TV that much. I feel like they listen to the radio and do some gardening. But I don't feel like they watch much telly. So it kind of worked, to be honest. And this is just quite a small kitchen, which I'm using the new tiles as well, actually, from the new pack on the floor, which are really, really fun. We've got really nice tiles. It's basically, there's some really nice items in the new pack. I'm really, really excited to actually build something, especially in the new world, because again, the new world's really cool as well. I don't know, it is a vibe. It's nice having different worlds that I say are just very different, just having something different. So it's exciting to be able to build there, and thinking what, it's just fun. It's just fun, and I'm really excited to use the new items, some of the other new items, because I use them a bit in here, I said, the windows and the doors. But yeah, there's some really, really, really cool, really ornate windows as well, and there with shutters and things. That'd be really nice to build with them. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Now we're heading upstairs, and it's quite small. It's a bit of a squeeze up here. The master bedroom is fairly big, to be fair, but I put a massive fireplace in it, which, I always feel like I have to put a fireplace where there is a chimney. So obviously I built this big chimney outside, which I love doing on cottages because I really think it just like makes it like a nicer shape, you know, and realistic. So I always feel like they have massive like chimneys. Obviously, depending on some houses, like they're kind of, sometimes they're like in the, I don't know how to explain, like, especially like if there's a terrace house or a semi-detached house, you don't really see the chimneys on the outside. They're like in it, right? You just see the bit sticking out the top. Whereas I like to make a big feature of them when it's a house that isn't attached to another house, basically. So you would see it, you know what I mean? So I like making a big feature out of it. And yeah, so, but then I always feel like if there's a chimney, then there has to be a fireplace there, even like downstairs, upstairs, like all the way up, there's got to be a fireplace. But because of where this fireplace is up here, you can't actually light it. So it is like a decorative fireplace. Yeah, your Sims can't light it. It's just not enough space with the bed, but it looks nice. But everything else, like they can get all the way around the bed and everything like that, but they just can't light that fireplace. So yeah, you just have to use one downstairs. But then this little room here is super, super tiny and it's kind of like a spare bedroom come like little computer space come storage room. So it's just a bit of just everything kind of chucked in here. Probably not used that much, really, if I'm honest. And the other thing I really like doing with really older buildings or older houses is having the toilet downstairs, the bathroom downstairs, because I always feel like that's where it would be. Even though like the idea of like, you know, like you're like in the middle of the night, it's really, really dark and you want to go to the toilet and you have to go all the way downstairs and you're like, oh. But this isn't too far, to be fair. Like the toilet is just there. I mean, the toilet could be like outside, like in an outer building. That would be even more like, oh, cold. But yeah, I don't know. I always feel like the bathroom would always be downstairs originally in an older house. So I always like to keep them there. And to be honest, it wouldn't have fit upstairs. Like that room is super, super tiny. Like I could have just had a one bed and a bathroom upstairs, but I just feel like that there would be a bigger room and then like a smaller bedroom. It's just how I felt like it would be. So that's what we did. And then this is the greenhouse. This is like quite sweet. Like it's nothing fancy, it's nothing special. I just feel like it's things they've collected over the years. There's like, you know, pots here and there. And it's just a space where I feel like the sim comes, relaxes, and yeah, does their little planting, you know, do their bits and bobs in there. And maybe I don't know, like maybe they grow things, sell them. I don't know. Maybe they go to like a local little fair where it's kind of like not, like I said, because it's not like their career, it's not their profession. It's something they enjoy doing. And if they can, you know, share that with other people, then I'm sure they would, you know. But yeah, so it's not, like I said, it's like a sweet little cottage for someone who loves gardening, but not necessarily a gardener. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's a whole other thing, you know? But anyway, we are coming to the end. I hope you enjoyed this one and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!